Good morning. Little bit hungover today. Just a tiny bit. Just had a few drinks last night. Some people I hadn't seen in a while in the bar. That's the way TI always is. As people I only see at events. Because we all live in very different places, you know? Like, obviously, I think Jenkins lives in Canada. Fogg lives in New York. Jack, I think, lives in Berlin. SVG lives in Phoenix. Nat lives in... I don't know where Nat lives, actually. I don't know if she lives in Australia or not. Somewhere in Europe, I don't know. Trent lives in Canada. Gabe lives in, I think, Oregon. Yeah, so events. Chance to hang out. It's always good to see everybody. It's weird, you know, I think it's probably the strangest thing about sort of this job, working events and tournaments and stuff like that, is that you have this friend group that sort of compresses down for a few weeks where you're like in each other's pockets, and then it explodes and you don't see them again for like 3 months, and then it comes back down again. Or for me, I mean, the guys that work every event throughout the year, they see each other more, you know what I mean? And with time zones and everything like that, it's not like you can just play games. But think about how many of your friends that you play games with, even every day, or at least multiple times a week, you're no longer geographically adjacent, or even approximate. We've become this it's like the gamer diaspora. And all these gamers are all around the place, and you all come together either to play games or watch other people play them. It's interesting, isn't it? When I was younger, I was trying to explain to my kids, and this is a very old dad boomer shit talk, but some of you might like to hear about it. I was trying to explain to my kids that when I was like 13, 14, so, you know, around the age that my girls are now, what it was like. I lived in, it was a small town. Well, actually it's not. It's a big town on the south coast called Bournemouth, which was like one of the bigger towns on the south coast, but it's not like a city or anything. It's quite sleepy, and back then, especially in the 80s and 90s, it really was. The joke about my hometown was that it was just full of old people. And it was a retirement place, a place a lot of people retired, because it's by the sea and it's very gentle, and you know. So I was trying to explain to my kids that, let's say it was summer holidays, which have just ended in the UK. School summer holidays have just ended. My kids went back to school. So it's like middle of August, 1986, 1987. And it's Thursday. Just imagine that. And I say to my mum, I'm going out with my mates. She's like, okay. And I would leave the house. I'd have breakfast, leave the house. We'd go to each other's houses to collect each other, to sort of group up. So they'd just turn up. Can Ted play? She'd be like, yeah, sure. And I'd say, all right, I'll get my bike. No phone, no keys, no money, just me and my bike. And I would leave at like 10 a.m., 9:30, 10 a.m. And my mum would say, be home for dinner. And she would not see me for 8 hours. Just off. She has no idea where I am. None. Zero. I'm off. Could be anywhere. And I maybe call her from someone's house at 5:30. I'm having dinner at Stephen's. Okay. Don't be too late. And I come home at like 8:30, 9 o'clock on my bike. No lights. Cycling on the pavement to avoid cars. That was like a lot of summer. And I was thinking, like I can remember leaving the house and I can remember coming back to the house and that huge period in between where we were just out. And I remember that what we would do is just cycle to other friends' houses and see if we could collect them. Like we were building an army and we were going from village to village recruiting young men for our army to go and march on some unwanted lord. But instead we were just on our BMXs riding around, mobbing up, just to be in a group with our mates. And we would cycle all over the place. We'd like cycle for a bit and then stop and decide where to go next. And on the spur of the moment, it was like mob think, let's go down the beach, yeah. So we'd all cycle from wherever we were down to the beach, along the promenade, get yelled at by the lifeguards who don't want you cycling on the prom, outrun them, bit of a laugh. Maybe if anyone had any money, which was unlikely, we'd go to the arcade. So that was about a mile, cycle down to the arcade. We didn't have locks for our bikes, we'd just chuck them, go into the arcade for a bit, come out, get on our bikes, cycle home. Maybe we'd go to someone's house. Can we go to your house? Yeah, come to my house. And like 6 kids would turn up at the front door of this house. Mum, can my friends come in? Yeah, but don't make a mess. And we'd go in, we'd play on their Sega, or we'd play on their Commodore, or we'd play on their Amiga, or we'd play on their Nintendo, whatever it was. We'd all play games for a few hours. Then people would start to drift away. Oh, I've got to go back home. All right, bye. Ian goes. And then maybe Matthew goes. And then Stephen says, we should have a sleepover. And I'm like, yeah, cool. So then I call my mum. I'm going to sleep over at Stephen's house. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Or my mum would say, let me talk to his mum. And she'd probably say, are you cool with this? And the mum would say, yeah. Because, honestly, parents back then, like the boomer parents, they had children, but they just released you into the wild. You were just expected to be at a certain place at a certain time, roughly. Back around 6. Back before it gets dark. Like you're just trusting a kid to make that call. I would wait until I couldn't see. It was dark. And yeah, it was weird. Because now when my kids go out, fucking air tags know exactly where they are. Instant messaging. You know what I mean? They have money. Like I could just message them money. They have it on their fucking phones. I would spend 10 hours outside the house with no money. We'd go to people's houses. If you were at a house, whoever the mum was there, that was who was feeding you. There was no question of you can't all stay for dinner. It's like, yeah, looks like it's beans on toast for 17 kids. It was like that. It was crazy. It really was very hands off. And looking back now, I'm thinking like, damn, that must have been so fucking easy to raise kids in the 70s and 80s. You barely had to do anything. Barely had to do anything. Nowadays it's completely different. Like I'm like calling my daughter on WhatsApp, like we're FaceTiming while I'm here and she's there. Never would have happened. If you want to go to your mate's house, you just DM them. Just send them a fucking WhatsApp message. Can I come round? There's lots of planning. People know where they are. We had to know the town. Where are we going? So-and-so. We'd know. We were like London cabbies for our town. We'd know how to get from point A to point B, quickest route, on a bike, job done. It was interesting. I just can't imagine my kids being out of the house for that long, and I literally have no idea who they're with, what they're doing, whose house they're in, where they are, when they're coming home, and no means to contact them. Can you imagine that nowadays? That's crazy. And of course the classic, if you agreed to meet up with your friends, this was true until everybody had phones. Where are you going to be? We'll be here at this time. One or the other of you is late, the evening is ruined, and you'll have to sort it out the next day. I'm half an hour late. There's no way for me to inform them. I'm half an hour late. You would leave messages with the bar staff. You'd say to someone behind the bar at a pub, if you see 3 lads come in and they ask about me, and they're like, have you seen my mate, Ted? Can you tell them we went to the Dog and Duck around the corner? And they would always say, yeah. And you're thinking, you ain't fucking passing that message on. So sometimes you'd go to somewhere else, then have to come back to see if your friends had turned up, collect them, or they would arrive somewhere, look around, they're not here, and then spread out like a search party. That was it. No, where are you? Next door, lol. Lamau, see you in a sec. None of that. None of that. You just had to physically be in a place at a time, collect people together, and try to stay that way. Unbelievable. Much more complicated. And yet, nowadays with all the technology, the fact it's easier to communicate and coordinate and organize things, I find myself meeting up with my friends far less. It could be because I'm older, but also we can talk online. So the ease of communication has actually made it easier to be friends with people and just not ever fucking see them, which is kind of like the situation I've got with all my my donut friends. Like, I've never seen Andrew Jenkins outside an event. I've seen a few people, like Blitz tends to organize things when he's like in the UK. He'll get a bunch of people together that are also in the UK at that time. We'll go out for a meal. It's a great idea, really good. And on the occasions when I can make it, it's great. I see everyone, like, you know, going out for dinner with a bunch of people. It's really, really chill. But I think he's the only person that does that. When I was in LA a couple of years back, I think I saw one person I knew, because LA is kind of shit to get around. So, like, if someone I knew and hadn't seen in a while was in London, and they were like really far north London, I'd agree to meet somewhere in the middle and be like, okay, let's meet in the middle here and we'll go out. But in LA, it's kind of like, I'm gonna have to drive there. You're gonna have to drive there. So we're just gonna have to be sober and hang out. It's gonna be pretty shit. Yeah, getting around in LA, fucking hell. And it's like an hour and a half to get to the end of the road because of the traffic. So we just hang out online. Just hang out online. It's funny, isn't it? Funny. It's an easy to coordinate real life stuff. And because of that ease, it's now easy to just be online friends. Like us, like you, and me, and us, all the people here, we're kind of online friends. Anyway, I'm going to start working 5.5 hours, so I better set this up loading and then, I don't know, have a shower or something like that. Have a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace out.